In 1982, Steven Spielberg's E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial hit cinemas due to massive acclaim. People loved it for its sheer sense of wonder. However, in my opinion, that wonder just disguised a very shaky, flawed narrative. Over the years, I've tried and tried to like this movie. I mean, of course I should. Spielberg is sometimes a great director, and it's a science fiction movie. How could I not like it? Well, it's been a couple decades since I first watched it, and I've seen it several times since. Watching it for at least the second time with my kids during our little sci-fi marathon, I've come to a conclusion. I still don't. But why isn't this film clicking? Honestly, for all the talk of wonder in this movie, it's the human aspect that actually entertains me with every viewing. The relationship between the trio of kids in this film, Elliot, Gertie, and the often forgotten Michael, is really strong and comes off as a real family bond.
Maybe it was a pervert or deformed kid or
A
something.
deformed kid.
Maybe an elf or a leprechaun.
It was nothing like that, penis breath!
Elliot!
Just funny stuff. And the family has what has to be cinema's most attentive mother, too. There could seriously be a xenomorph in this family's house, and she still wouldn't notice her kids shooting chest bursters across the kitchen table. Mrs. Taylor is just a horrible person, and I love it. As with most science fiction films, the creature is the star of the movie. And in this case, it's the titular character, E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial. Now, being I love the family, is it E.T. himself the problem? Nope. Carlo Rambaldi's character design work on E.T. is outstanding. It's unique and just cute enough where the character doesn't come off as schmaltzy. His scenes with the Taylor children are genuinely fun, too. From Elliot showing him his toy collection, to Gertie dressing him in drag, to them taking him trick-or-treating, it's all really humorous throughout. Especially Dee Wallace's blindness to the fact it isn't Gertie dressed as a ghost. I mean, seriously, you don't realize that your daughter's a foot shorter and wider? If I was her husband, I'd be headed to Mexico, too. So, where does this movie fall apart for me then? Why do I think it's bad? I think I've pinpointed it. And I'm going to blame Spielberg himself on this one. It's his general approach of caring more about evoking emotion over the story. The same horrible flaw that has brought us terrible clone directors who all have these same flaws but none of his strengths. Emulating one thing and not the other. But I digress. What am I talking about, you ask? It all starts with the film's most iconic scene. The bike ride. But that's awesome, you say. But it's also unearned. The first flight should fill me with wonder and maybe a little excitement, surprise. But Elliot isn't being chased here. He isn't even attempting to beat the clock or win a race. There's really no motive at all as to why it even happens. He simply complains about the road being a little bumpy. And whoosh, he's flying. Oh, look, it's so magical. I can only imagine how much more exciting it would have played out had the first time we saw the flying bicycles was when the plot actually commanded it. When the stakes were high and they were on the run from the FBI, the cops, the scientists, whoever. But that isn't what happens. And from here, we're treated to a series of coincidences just for the sake of the plot. Oh boy, are they just out of nowhere. Don't believe me? Elliot in E.T. sets up his space radio. And then the next second, They wake up outside. Where is E.T.? Who knows? Elliot's fine when he wakes up, though, and the next second he's drenched in the house.
Elliot.
When did it even rain? Oh my God, he's sick. Then E.T. is found in a drainage ditch, or something. Just how did he even get there? Did the cold of the night freeze him? Did he get hit by the mysterious downpour that Elliot did? Maybe an animal dragged him off. Who knows? The movie certainly isn't going to show us. Then, of course, we have the authorities. I remember as a kid everyone hating them, but as an adult, I have to even question why. Certainly, there's a ton of them. And they just show up at the house, bursting through already open windows and teleporting inside without even knocking, which just may have been easier. But really, what is it that they do that's so damn dastardly? Attempt to help Elliot and E.T. because they're sick? It's literally all they do, but the script, through Elliot, keeps insisting they're doing something wrong.
Oxygen saturation is 82% on room air.
You're scaring him.
Just a simple case of government evil, I guess, as well as more unearned emotional payoff. Kind of like when Peter Coyle's lead scientist shows up. Now, I get we saw pieces of him throughout the film, but what's the dramatic reveal of his face when he appears? He's not exactly Darth Vader. He's not even taught. He's just a guy. And ends up being super scary too when he wants to help E.T. I will say, I found the design of E.T.'s ship to be pretty cool as well. But overall, I just find this movie to be a mess of coincidences and sentimentality that just doesn't really add up. Which is a shame, because the movie had such a strong beginning. It just seems to have been unsure where it wanted to head, and to me, that's why I think I could never really care for this film. Other than its cool creature design and fun performances from the lead kids, Thomas Henry, Drew Barrymore, and Robert McNaughton. It's definitely one of the few movies in my collection I don't care if I ever revisit anytime soon. Though, it definitely does have its fans. I'm just not one of them.